The Powerball jackpot has just hit $1 billion. Now, guys, of course, the first caveat is you have to pay tax on that. Then it's not an immediate payout. It's over long periods of time. But the payout would still be hundreds and hundreds of millions to you if you won. Now, I'm sure everybody watching this has had daydreams about what you would do if you won the Powerball. Spoiler alert, so do I. I've thought about this. What would I do? Now, obviously, my situation financially is different. So my decision would probably be a lot different than yours, but I want everybody, the reason I bring up this Powerball thing is, one of the most frustrating things I hear from people is, oh, if only I had this money, I would be able to do X. Guys, money is a mentality. Wealth is a mentality. Money is not going to change any of your problems you have today. If you're a big spender today, you're going to be a bigger spender with money. If you're a saver, you're probably going to continue saving a lot of money. If you're an investor, you're probably going to invest a lot of money. If I won the Powerball, I would do three things. One, I'd buy a private jet. I just wouldn't even care about leasing. I would just buy one. It would sit at the airport for me to use, for my family and I to use sparingly, and I'm okay with that. Two, I would own a vacation home that I would live at 4 months out of the year. Now, I do have vacation homes, but I mean something in the US, like in Dallas or Florida or something like that. And three, I would invest all the rest of the money, the 98% of the rest of it, probably not 95% of the rest of it, and I would just invest. Because you know why? I love to invest. But the big key here is, I want you to remember, do a Google search sometime on people who win the lottery. The vast majority lose all their money. Many have come out and said, the worst thing that happened to me was winning the lottery. And I think about that all the time. I think about I have the ability to say no. If I won the lottery tomorrow and somebody came to me and said, Paul, let me hit you up for this. No. Why? Because I'm used to it. I'm used to people asking me for money all the time. But don't wish for things that may not be the best thing for you. And the most important thing for you to do today is, if you're fortunate enough to win the lottery, you need to have the right mentality on money. The book I love the most for everybody before you read anything about investing is The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Now, full disclosure, I make $0 off you buying it. I don't care if you buy it or not. But if you want to change the way in which you think about money, the second best way is to read this book. The best way is to subscribe to this channel, because we do look at money a lot different than everybody else. To me, money is a means. I did a video last week, which I'm going to put a link in above at the very end of this video, where I talked about how money can buy you happiness, but not for the reasons why you think. Money buys you freedom. Winning the lottery should be looked at purely as freedom. You don't need to have $400 or $500 million to be free. If you have $100 million and you spend $10 million a year, you're not free. You're on a 10-year timeline. If you have $2 million in the bank and you spend $40,000 a year, you're free. You bought yourself a 50-year timeline. That's the big key here. You have to be understanding that money itself is not going to solve problems. The way you approach money is going to be your solving of problems. But guess what? If you have the right approach on money, you don't need $400 million to make that better. Will your life probably become better? Probably, if you're smart about it. But it could also become a lot worse. There have been suicides, there have been deaths, there have been families split apart, all because of lottery. And I'm not trying to be the guy who goes, well, it's easy for you to say because yeah, I know. But you have to ask yourself, chicken or the egg? Do I have more money because of my mentality on money that I realize it is not the be all and end all? Of course, that's the way I view it. If it weren't the case, then if money made life easier, then why do the lottery winners always lose money? Why do you see athletes going broke all the time? Why do you see those things happening? Because it's not the solving the problem. It's in here and in here that makes the money better for you. And this is something that took me a long time to realize. And there's still elements of me that are still realizing it as time goes on. I still sit there and go, I focus too much on money. And my focus on money has plummeted in the last 15 years. I still like making money. I still love investing. I still love this channel. And one of the benefits of this channel is I'm able to make money by making videos. But that's what I look at it as. I look at it now as, great, I make money so I can do the things that I want to do. Travel, invest, make these videos, work on this channel, and teach more people. That's really what I enjoy doing. And that's what I'm going to continue to do as I gain more wealth. Am I going to spend more as my wealth goes up? Yeah, probably. But if my wealth went up 10 times today, am I spending 10 times more? No. Why? Because I don't need to. And I want you to have that same mentality. There are studies after studies that show that 75 grand is basically all you need to be happy. Now, there's other studies arguing against that, but the point is, it's not if you went from 75,000 to 750,000 that you're 10 times happier. Not at all. And there are a lot of people who can't handle the pressure of having money. It is very, very difficult to have money at times. You might sit there and say, oh, boo-hoo. I know, I'm not trying to ask for sympathy, but I'm sitting there saying that it's hard sometimes for people to always have their hand out to you. Paul, why don't you just give us this $1,000 for this? Why don't you just, because if I said yes to every single person who asked me for $1,000, I would go broke. It's not a lot to you, but it's a lot to me when it's 1,000 or 10,000 people asking you for that. The point of money is to give you freedom. And if you're fortunate enough to watch this video and then win the lottery or know somebody who wins the lottery, show them this video because it's so important. It's become almost cliche that winning the lottery equates to financial ruin and life being ruined. Now, there are some great stories out there. I read an article a few years ago and there was some young couple who, I think the woman won like $80 million or something. And she said, great, I'm going to continue working. I'm going to buy a ranch in Arizona that I want to live in. And we're going to live the rest of our days just spending a little bit more than we did before. And she was happy. She's like, I'm so happy because I don't have to worry about all the drama that comes with money. There's other stories about people winning 20 million and they all of a sudden lose their house because they couldn't pay their homeowners association fees of $5,000 per year off of $20 million. So when I hear people say, if only I had money, there's a friend of mine who calls it the if onlys. If only I had this then. No, that's not the way it works. Especially with money. If you don't have the right mentality and the right emotion about money, it doesn't matter how much money you have. You're going to be broke and you're going to be miserable. And there are a lot of rich people who are miserable but not broke. Okay, that's fine. There's a story about the guy who started Michaels in the software business. I forget his name, but he lived in a 10,000 square foot home in Dallas. He lost everything and he went to a nursing home with 1,000 square feet. And I actually was surprised about his mentality. He's like, listen, yeah, it sucked. But you know what? I used 1,000 square feet in my house before and I'm in 1,000. Okay, whatever. I like the fact that he wasn't devastated. I'm sure he was still upset about losing the money. And there are not good stories about him trying to cheat the IRS, etc. But the point is, I look at it going, okay, he at least had this mentality of saying, you know what, I screwed up and this is what it is. And I might be getting the story wrong, but he wasn't as ashamed as I thought somebody would be losing that kind of money. Going from a 10,000 square foot house to a 1,000 square foot nursing home facility, which is still a big nursing home facility. You know, I used to be of the belief that if I had $10 million and my house was 5,000 square feet, when I have $100 million, I need to have 50,000 square feet. This was literally my mentality years ago. That was literally my mentality years ago. And now my fiance, my future wife and I are buying a home and we just sit in their house going, this is such a big home, but it has the land, it has other features that we like. And it's going to be a home which we can use the first floor fully. And we don't care what's below it and there's no second level. But it's bigger than we need. And I like the fact that I'm actually saying, oh my God, this house is way bigger than we need. But we have the ability to have what we want. And it was a sacrifice of saying, listen, it's going to be more than we need. And you might sit there and say, oh, poor sacrifice. It actually kind of, in a way, in my mentality is like, why am I doing this? And that's where I look at it saying, I'm glad my mentality has changed about money. When before, I would have looked at winning the lottery as oh, thank God. To now, I actually get worried about it. Like, you know, we play the Powerball when it gets big. And I think to myself, like, what happens if we win it? I get stressed about it in the sense of like everybody asking for a handout. My fiance wanting to do things that I don't want to do, causing a rift, things like that, because we already have more than we need. And that's all that we need. Doesn't mean I stop caring about making money. Doesn't mean you should stop caring. But if you're fortunate enough to win the lottery, find a purpose in your life. Find a way to handle the money. Get the mentality that you need to handle the money. So watch this next video that I referenced before, that money can buy you happiness, but not for the reasons that you may think. Thank you very much for your time.